You did? Okay. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I can see that, yeah. Okay, let's get started. I got a lot of stuff to cover today. So, I want to welcome everybody that's online and those of you here especially. I appreciate you being here. You know, it was bad when we were not able to gather because of the ice storm. That was no fun, even though we could watch it online. Well, we watched a different church online. We watched our home church back in Temple, Texas, where Joan and I dated, and we sat in the pew on the right down at the front, behind kind of a column, and that's where we sat since Joan was 12 years old. So we watched that church last 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? But welcome here today. It's a nice warm day today, and I played the NFL theme song just a minute ago, but I didn't have the speakers set up right, so you didn't hear that. But anyway, are you ready for some football? Let me tell you some other things that are going on, because these are more important. We got the Wednesday night meal coming up. That's going to be lasagna. Am I right? Lasagna? Where are the Clarks? They'll be here in a minute. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's right. And then we got the 49er Fellowship on the 13th, and we've got the baptism class on the 15th. So if you know anybody that is considering giving their life to Jesus Christ, they need to be in that class if they haven't been baptized. And then we've got the Sparks wedding shower. Caleb is going to be getting married soon, so that's coming up. Last week, we didn't actually meet in our class, but we were in this room with the ministry fair. And isn't it amazing to see how many ministries are going on at Pleasant Ridge and being able to participate in those? So I hope y'all were able to see that and get to participate in that. Then, after the ministry fair, we're going to get back into our series on the church and its teachings. Today, I'm going to go into a lot of detail about the church from the very beginning up to today. Next week, Jamie will be back. He was out of town this week, so he'll be back and he'll be talking about the Lord's Day from Romans. Then he'll continue on with stewardship and mission, and then loving God and loving others. That'll be the last one in this series. And then we'll start the spring series, and that'll be still on the church. The Christian church. I want to read a scripture as we get started here. Jesus said, "This is what the kingdom of God is like. A man scatters seed on the ground. Night and day, whether he sleeps or gets up, the seed sprouts and it grows, though he does not know how. All by itself, the soil produces grain, first the stalk, then the head, then the full kernel in the head. As soon as the grain is ripe, he puts the sickle to it because the harvest has come." He doesn't know how it does it. It's amazing. In fact, Joan and I were watching a YouTube video on some harvesting that was going on. They planted, what was it, Joan? Garlic. They planted garlic from cloves. And of course they had a machine that does it. And it was amazing watching the garlic cloves being planted and then seeing how it came up, how they harvested it. But it was amazing. And we sat there just mesmerized watching what was going on. And we take it for granted. I mean, we had a garlic clove sitting in the closet, and I watched as it diminished because Joan was using it a little bit at a time. But it was amazing to watch that. And imagine, they didn't have YouTube back when Jesus was talking about this. They wondered, how does this work? How we plant this seed and then it comes up, and when it's time, we harvest it. Well, it was time. And Jesus knew it was time, and as he was leaving the Holy Spirit here for us and his disciples, he told them the harvest is ripe. It is time to go use your imaginary sickle and let's bring the people in. You're going to be fishermen of men. So he sent these men out. First of all, we have the Operation Holy Land. That was a very important commission he gave. The Holy Land team consisted of Peter, Stephen, Philip, and John. And they were working to show the Jewish people that the time had come for the Messiah to be here. The Messiah had come, had fulfilled the prophecies, and they knew that this was supposed to be happening, and now the time has come. And so this team was sent to tell the Jews about Jesus. But there was also Operation Whole Earth. Operation Whole Earth had a team that was fantastic. It started off with Paul. Now, Paul was gung-ho about this, and so he took a team of Barnabas, Silas, Mark, Luke, and Timothy, and their commission was to go to the ends of the earth. The ends of the earth. Now, that is a big task, and yet they were able to do that. And we're going to look at how their seeds that they planted sprouted and what they've become today. How many of you like history? How many of you love going to YouTube and seeing some of the historical stuff on there, or reading a book about the Crusades or America? You know, this is the 250th anniversary of America coming up. And so we'll be able to look back at the history of America, how it was planted by Christians coming here, and how Christianity has influenced America. We'll be able to look at that all this year. So history is something very important. Well, we're going to look at that history, and we're going to see how those seeds were able to spread to the ends of the earth. And I want to put in a plug here for one of the videos. Anybody seen Drive Through History? Raise your hand if you've seen that. I know Joan has. Yes, Kevin has. It is a fantastic series where Dave Stott drives to places in the Holy Land and around the world, showing how Christianity has spread. Now, Dave, it's on Prime. Prime. And it's on Prime. I'll put that up in the corner there. And so search for Drive Through History, and you'll find some that you have to pay for. They're worth it, about $30 for a whole series. But this one is on Prime, and it's available right now. There's two of them. And one's about the early Christians from Acts to Revelation, and then the other one is called The Ends of the Earth. And it shows how Christianity has spread out all over the world. It's amazing to think about the seed that was planted and how it has come to harvest. But again, Jesus said, what shall we say the kingdom of God is like? Or what parable shall we use to describe it? It's like a mustard seed, which is the smallest of all seeds on earth, and yet when planted, it grows and becomes the largest of all garden plants, and such big branches that the birds can perch in its shade. So he's talking about the seed being planted, the mustard seed. And this little bitty thing, I don't think they conceived at the time that he was talking about the church spreading like it did. Could they conceive that? I don't know. But these young men, these apostles, these disciples that were taking his words and spreading them to the Jews, to the Gentiles, did they have any concept of what was going to happen? That's what we want to look at. And I'm going to be going through some slides here, and we'll look at some history of the church. And of course, you know, let me see how you can see that. I hope you can see these little pictures here. But we had the birth of Jesus in about 4 BC. And then Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. And that was about 27 AD. And then in 33 AD, Jesus is crucified. His ministry is coming to a close. But then there was the resurrection. And Jesus rises from the dead, and that's the foundational event of our Christianity. If it wasn't for his resurrection, things would have ended right there. But here we have his resurrection. Jesus comes to life. He sees over 500 people as he eats with them, talks with them, and walks with them. Now, let's progress a little bit further to 49 AD, and you have the Council of Jerusalem, where Christianity is actually officially opened up, as far as the people were concerned, to Gentiles. No longer was it just a Jewish followers that were able to follow this religion, but it was opened up to us, the Gentiles. But what follows in 64 AD is a great persecution. Nero, of course, you remember that Nero's Rome burned, but who did he blame it on? He blamed it on the Christians. He used them as a scapegoat. And there was a great persecution that followed because of that. Now, you skip to 70 AD, and the temple is destroyed. The Romans destroy the second temple, and that's dividing Christianity and Judaism at that time. 100 AD, the 4 canonical Gospels are finished. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John have all written down while they were alive what happened when they were following Jesus. They were eyewitnesses. Those 4 Gospels were finished. Now, it took a little longer for them to canonize them, but in 150 AD, Christian theologians like Justin Martyr, he was defending Christianity and he was killed. He was really one of the first apologetics writers. And his beliefs, he believed in Jesus, and he wanted to convince the Roman Empire that Jesus was real and that he was the God come down to earth. He was martyred. And then in 33 AD, there was an Edict of Milan. This was Emperor Constantine who had come into power, and he legalizes Christianity across the Roman Empire. This was a good thing, but you know what? Even during the time when Christians were being martyred, Christianity was still growing. Then in 325 AD, we're coming up to 325 AD, 300 years after Jesus was crucified and rose from the dead. That's a long time. I mean, think back to when I was young. 50, 60 years ago, 70 years ago, I was born, 72. Am I 72? 72 years ago I was born. That's a long time. A lot has happened in that time. And yet, this is 325 years after Jesus has been on this earth. You know, the Council of Nicaea, it defined the doctrines of the Trinity, and it fights the people who were following Arianism, who believed that Jesus was not equal with God. They had a different belief, and so there was a division there. You see, people had different beliefs about Jesus at this time, but the Council of Nicaea tried to formalize some of the beliefs. In 380 AD, Emperor Theodosius I makes Christianity Rome's state religion. He played a crucial role in establishing Christianity as the state religion of the Roman Empire. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Then we go to 432 AD, and Christianity is coming to Ireland. St. Patrick came to Ireland as a missionary, and he spread the gospel right there in Ireland. In 500 AD, we're talking about 500 years. 500 years. King Clovis I converts. He's making Christianity official in France. Then Christianity moves to China in 635 AD. Missionaries went to China. Now, next in 800, Charlemagne was crowned. And the Pope actually crowned Charlemagne as ruler of Rome. And this was part of Western Christianity. 988, 900, almost 1,000 years. Prince Vladimir of Kiev adopts Christianity in his realm. Then there was the Great Schism. This is one of those breaks in people that believed one way, the Orthodox, the Roman Catholic, and then the Eastern Orthodox religions had a falling out. They believed differently in some ways, and so you know how that happens sometimes in a church. Well, this was big, and so there was the Great Schism. In 1096, we have the First Crusade. Are you thinking about that small seed that was planted? Those few people that started spreading about the word about Jesus Christ, the gospel. Now in 1096, European Christians launch a military campaign to reclaim the Holy Land from the Muslims. Then in 1204, the Fourth Crusade. The Crusaders sacked Constantinople. It was kind of a mistake. This worsened the Catholic Orthodox divide because the crusade was running out of money, and so they wanted to gain some money, and they were being paid to go attack Constantinople, which was a Christian place. And that really worsened this divide between those schisms. Now, in 1274, Thomas Aquinas wrote the Summa Theologica. He was shaping the Catholic theology with reason. He was taking science and saying, we can put these two together. It's logical that God came down to the earth. It's logical what was written in the scriptures. So he was trying to bring logic and science together with religion. The fall of Constantinople happened in 1453 when the Ottomans took Constantinople back, weakening Eastern Christianity. Now we're up to 1492. Christianity comes to America. One of the oldest continuous towns in the United States is going to be inhabited by Christians. But first of all, Christopher Columbus comes in 1492, and he lands on an island and begins to teach the Portuguese explorers begin to teach Christianity to the New World. Now, back in Europe, we have the Protestant Reformation going on in 1517. Martin Luther posts his 95 Theses challenging the Catholic Church. In 1531, Christianity in Mexico is spreading. The Catholic Church has now spread throughout Mexico. In 1542, Christianity moves to India. The Jesuit missionary Francis Xavier arrives in Goa, India, and begins proclaiming Jesus there. In 1565, the first Christian settlement that I mentioned comes to the United States. St. Augustine, Florida, founded as a Catholic colony at that time. In 1600, Christianity moves to Japan. Missionaries take Christianity to Japan and it spreads like wildfire, but Japan begins to persecute the Christians there, and they try to wipe out Christianity. In 1611, we're talking 1,611 years after Jesus, King James Bible is translated into English. So we have that being published, and everyone can have the Bible now and read it in English. In 1620, remember the Pilgrims came to America. These were English Puritans bringing Protestantism to North America. Now we're at 1738. That seed is now sprouted all across all these different countries. And John Wesley starts a movement emphasizing personal faith and holiness. The Catholic Church has become ritualistic and political. And John Wesley begins this movement to bring things back to the Bible. In 1770, Christianity is moving to Australia. There were European settlers that brought that Christianity to Australia. In 1801, we come to the Second Great Awakening. This is a Protestant religious revival in the United States that went from about 1795 to 1835. And it was emotional preaching. There were large camp meetings that happened. And so this is reshaping American Protestantism. Then in 1859, we have Darwin come up and say, you know, there's evolution. And it kind of challenges Christian beliefs. And so, yet, Christianity survives even that. 1865, you have William Booth. We're getting close to 2,000 years away from Jesus Christ. But we have William Booth, a dedicated Christian who starts Christian charity to help the poor, the Salvation Army. 1910, Christianity in Africa expands. These European missionaries came to Africa and began to convert people there. 1950, Christianity is surviving in China. The underground churches are persisting despite the communist suppression that is happening there. The house church movement. Unofficial Christian gatherings grow under Chinese communism. Even though China says, oh, there's only one way that you can be in a Christian church, and that has to be this way. And they can change the Bible. They can rewrite it if the communist government wants to. So the house church movement is subverting that. Christianity is still there. In Eastern Europe, the fall of communism, the USSR falling apart, that allowed people to go back to Christianity. And the churches began to sprout and regrow there. Then Christianity in South Korea. Rapid Protestant and Catholic growth in South Korea happened in 1991. You see, even with suppression, the Lord's church is surviving. And in 2000, Africa is seeing the fastest Christian growth in history. In 2005, we saw the rise of megachurches, these large evangelical churches expanding across the United States. 2010, we saw the digital Christianity, where people started watching worship services at home. People that were shut-ins before were able to communicate with the churches that they long ago had been a part of. And so digital Christianity began to reshape some of the faith. We have the digital Bible and digital Bible lessons. And then we had daily Bible readings that you could do digitally. Then in 2020, we had the pandemic. That really helped reshape some of the way that religious gatherings were happening. 2025, just last year, Christianity is still expanding in Asia, Latin America, Africa. Now, the seed has grown, hasn't it? Jesus knew it. He knew what was going to happen. And when he talked to them and gave them the analogy of a mustard seed, he knew that they were the mustard seeds. They were going out to plant. They were going to be the ones that brought the good news to everyone, and then it was going to grow. I don't bet the apostles knew what he was really talking about. And How could they see that it would spread around the entire world? It was tough for them. But you know what? There's 8 billion people on this planet now. And 2.3 billion Christians are here. That's 28.8% of the population of the United States. Of the world. That seed has grown. And you look at how it has grown, it is amazing. It has to be God. Ephesians 4:4-6 says, there is one body and one Spirit, just as you were called to one hope when you were called. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all. But with humans, we kind of mess things up, don't we? And it seemed like things were divided. It started with that great schism. And then there have been other divisions that happened in the tree that grew. And then there was Thomas and Alexander Campbell, who had a vision in western Pennsylvania. You know, they were Scottish Thomas was a Scottish Presbyterian minister, and that was back in 1763 to 1854. He arrived in America in 1807, and he was dismayed by the denominational strife that he saw. And he advocated for Christian unity based on biblical principles. His son, Alexander Campbell, was a brilliant scholar, and he quickly became a prominent leader in 1809. Thomas Campbell penned the Declaration and Address, a foundational document calling for a return to the ancient order of things, rejecting human creeds, championing the Bible as the sole rule of faith and practice. The core principle that he went on was, where the Bible speaks, we speak. Where the Scriptures are silent, we are silent. And then you see Barton W. Stone. Now, he was in Kentucky. He was a Presbyterian minister in 1772 to 1844, and he was a central figure in the Cane Ridge Revival of 1801. That was one of the largest and most influential camp meetings of the Second Great Awakening. He was also disillusioned with denominational creeds. Stone and a group of like-minded men dissolved the Presbyterian Presbytery in 1804 with a document titled The Last Will and Testament of the Springfield Presbytery. He was declaring the allegiance only to the Bible and identifying themselves as simply Christians. Okay, so then we have some more history and we're going to go back a little bit in time from 2025. We're going to go back to 1832. And we're going to look at where this one church comes back into play. Those two movements merged. Campbell and Stone movements merged, and they solidify the Restoration movement. Then, in 1906, there is some disagreement, and the Church of Christ becomes official. In 1906, I don't know if you can read this plaque. This is organized in Paducah in 1906 and it is blurry, from a meeting they had there. They say it's the first Church of Christ that was there in Kentucky. Going back to the biblical principles. What were the distinctive practices of the church as they brought it? Bible as the ultimate authority, a cappella singing, communion every Sunday, spontaneous prayers and prayers in the congregation, Bible preaching and teaching, weekly giving, baptism, immersion for the remission of sins, fervent evangelism, and congregational autonomy. These were the foundational principles going back to what the Bible had in the New Testament. Now, we go back to Ephesians 4:16. He makes the whole body fit together perfectly, as each part does its own special work. It helps the other parts grow so that the whole body is healthy and growing and full of love. Isn't that what we do? We help each other, and we help each other grow. All the believers met together in one place and shared everything they had. They sold their property and possessions and shared the money with those in need. They worshiped together at the temple each day. They met in their homes for the Lord's Supper and shared their meals with great joy and generosity, all the while praising God and enjoying the goodwill of all the people. And each day, the Lord added to their fellowship those who were being saved. Well, we looked at Operation Holy Land. We looked at Operation Whole Earth, and we saw how that seed was planted and how it grew over 2,000 years to where we are today. So we have Operation Metroplex, I call it. I just made that up. But Pleasant Ridge Church of Christ is planted here on this hill for a reason. We are here to go out and spread the word. We're to help each other. We're to grow as a church. And we have a Metroplex team, don't we? We have Ryan and Dean and Connor and Luann and Wade and Mike and Ray. But that's not all the team. We have the deacons at Pleasant Ridge. We have deacons sitting in here right now. But take a look at all these deacons that we have. We have deacons. We have shepherds at Pleasant Ridge. We also have you. And this is very important that we work together. I look out in this class and I look out in the auditorium and I see people that are doing such good work for the Lord, helping each other, serving, and I love it. And it's very important that we realize that we are working together as a team to take that small seed and continue growing it. It's important that we continue what has transpired over all these centuries and has come down to us today, that we keep it going. We keep it growing. Now, I want to point out this book to you. Anybody have one of these already? Just one? Two, three, four? Okay. This is a fantastic book. Kyle Cook took the initiative to put together this book, and he spent a lot of time doing this. And you can go to the Welcome Center, the Guest Center, and pick one up, just one per family. And it has all the people that are working in ministries, all the people you can contact for a ministry. Like, let's say, the children's Bible classes, your contact, it says in here, would be Luann Jordan. Let me go to a different one. You knew Luann Jordan. Okay, let me go to one of these. Shower hostess groups, Christy McAllister and Luann Jordan. She's everywhere. And then Ladies' Day, Julie Holland and Luann Jordan. The kitchen, she's not in this one. Doris Green, Shirley Williams, Chris Wilson. It tells who to contact for certain things. It's very valuable. But just looking through it, yes, ma'am. That's a good point. The Microphone Singers, guess who that is? Dean Willis. We got Adult Education, Mike Monroe. Okay. Mission Support Team, Blake Lindsay. Let's Start Talking, Ron Hawker and Karen Bridgewater. And Colonia 89, Danny DeLeon, Kyle Cook, and Bob Bohannon. Very valuable, but it also tells the history of Pleasant Ridge, a short history. And you can look at the table of contents here. It has our shepherding team. The deacons, Kyle forgot to put the deacons' pictures in there, so we insert that. And we have a full color insert there. They're in there also. And worship service streaming, how to get to that, ways to give, church calendar, the generic calendar so that you know about when things are happening year after year. So it's a very valuable resource for us at our church. Well, we have been through a lot of history. How many of you still love history? That was 2,025 years of history that we went through. From the seed that was planted by Jesus, then the people that helped it grow, all the way up to today. Oh, we've left out so many that we could have talked about. And I also left out a lot about the current Pleasant Ridge. But you can still go and study some more on that. This is available at the guest services desk. My challenge for you this week is simple. I want you to go to Prime, and instead of watching some movie or something, get started on the series Drive Through History, Christianity Changing the World, and driving through history and to the ends of the earth. Just look for that, Drive Through History.
Are the slides you showed with the dates in that?
No. No,
Where'd you get that?
that's from a website that was actually a video. Would you like me to send you that? Okay, I'll do that. And if anybody else would like those, I can actually, this slide presentation is the biggest I've had so far. It's 46 megabytes and it won't go through email. So I can't send you the slide presentation.
The ones with the dates and what happened.
Okay, I'll send you that, and if anybody else wants that, send me an email and remind me. You can look me up in Shelby, hastist@hotmail.com, and I'll send it to you. Okay, take a note. Okay, that's your challenge for this week, is to watch to the ends of the earth. You'll find it's very fun to watch it. It's not just historical, but he's got a good presentation. He slips in funny things every so often that he does, and he's actually going to the sites. Kevin, you've watched several of them. What do you think about it?